I mean, look at this stack of pancakes. I mean, look at that. It's just gooey, ooey chocolate. What's good, YouTube? My name is Rossmann. You're watching Tross Films. Today, we are gonna be taking a look at my very own protein pancake recipe. This is a plant-based recipe that requires no syrup and it fuels you, is easily transferable if you are always on the go, and this is like one of my favorite all-time go-to post-workout meals. We're gonna get into it, we're gonna see what it's all about, and we are gonna have a fun time. Let's get it. Without further ado, here is what you'll need. Any flavor of pea protein powder. I myself am using unflavored. Raw oats, quick or old-fashioned are fine. Baking powder, baking soda, whole wheat flour, or because I don't have it, almond flour works as well. Water or almond milk, which either one you prefer, or you could substitute any other milk. Chocolate chips for sweetness, and you can add dairy-free chocolate chips if you are lactose intolerant. And then the final things I actually add myself are a superfood greens mix. This will turn your pancakes green, but I don't really care about color. And the last thing I also add is cinnamon, and these again are optional. For cooking utensils, you are going to need a pan. I am using a non-stick one, a mixing bowl, a spatula, and a flipper. And you personally may call this something different, but this is just what I say, so here's my flipper. Step one, we are gonna be starting with our oats. In all my years of experimenting with this recipe, I have not really seen a difference that drastic with using old-fashioned versus quick oats, or if there's a different brand. I've tried multiple different brands. Any one is fine, doesn't really matter. The reason we are using pea protein powder is not necessarily because we are vegetarian or vegan or anything like that. The real reason is what I've discovered with this recipe is that when you're baking anything, pea protein actually makes whatever you're baking fluffier than normal. So if you use whey protein, it's gonna be really flat and thin. I am not sponsored by any protein companies. I bought this with my own hard-earned money. This brand specifically has just worked really well with me and my body. I don't have any wheat flour today. I only have almond flour, so that's what we're gonna be using. Almond flour is a little bit flatter than the other ones. So if you wanna stick closely related to a regular pancake, you're gonna wanna go with wheat flour. That's my personal preference. That I have found to be the best at replicating a regular pancake. I have experimented with this recipe for so long that I kind of have it down to what I personally like. And I've really dialed in how much to use of what ingredient that I have with me, because for me personally, it's all about experimentation. You can take so many recipes offline and make it your own. That's why I like experimenting. That's why I like baking. And a lot of times people think that baking has to be so precise. Well, yes, specifically, it does make a big difference. I'm not gonna discern that. I've experimented this pancake for so many years. I mean, I've been eating this for like 3 years, and I've experimented so many times with it. And it's fun like that because you can kind of personalize it and make it your own. If you personally don't like one of these ingredients, you can swap it out for something else. Experiment on your own hand. Ever since I've started watching Schitt's Creek, I always think about folding, and I always think of Moira and David. Also, on the context of almond milk or some other type of milk and water, I've not seen the biggest difference in what the pancake actually looks like in comparison of using both. You're gonna have less calories if you use water. You're gonna have more calories if you're gonna use almond milk, but you are gonna have more vitamins and minerals if you use that versus water. Again, pros and cons, experiment what you like, do whatever you want. And then for the thickness, this is again personal preference to you. I kind of like mine a little bit more thicker, so I'll use less water or less almond milk. If you want yours a little bit more runny, feel free to do that. I've just noticed that when I'm actually cooking it, it cooks better if you have less water versus more water. And then talking about when specifically to flip your pancake, typically you're gonna wanna watch for any bubbles that pop up. And the easiest way to actually check if you know for sure is just take your little flipper and go underneath it slightly. If you see it dark, like colored, that's when you know that you want. If you don't see it dark colored, typically I don't like to flip it at a time. Again, I'm not an actual chef. This is just my recommendations based off of what I've known to work, because there's been so many times I have flipped my pancake too soon and it just gets gushy and all over the place, and I make a mess, and half of it ends up like on the floor or in the sink or on the stove top or something like that. And I've had so many horror stories. So when you want to flip it, I just like to go underneath it, make sure there's not one specific area that's stuck to the pan. Then, the fun part. And then the next thing is that I always squish the pancake. And the reason I squish it is because typically the center of the pancake won't fully cook if it's not fully like on the pan. Because sometimes what I've noticed is that the outside of the pancake is more so like on the pan or closer to the pan, and the middle gets a little bit more clobby. After you flip it and you smush it, you're gonna wanna stay close attention to your pancake specifically, because it'll cook faster than the previous side did. And this is most common when people actually end up burning their pancake. So again, I'll do the little flip under, see how it looks. If I feel like it, I'll do another flip. Looks pretty solid. Both sides look about even, so I'm okay with this. What we're gonna do now is put it on our plate. Voila. Oh, it's just, the thing is that there's like chocolate chips in like every bite. Oh, so good. It's like soft, it's gooey, and it's so good for you. All the wins. See you next time. I make huge messes. Like, I have oats that are here. I have a little bit of batter on the stove top. I mean, I have some stuff that fell on the floor that I edited out, but I make a mess every time I am in the kitchen, basically. And I always do my best to clean up as best I can. I'm not always perfect. I know that you watching probably won't have as much issues as I do, but for some reason, I'm just notorious for making messes when I cook or bake or anything.